So our session this morning is about a story that you all know, RCS. But at the heart of every good story lies a fable. So our fable this morning is about the lion, the fox, and the bear. Imagine RCS as the lion, strong, confident, full of anticipation. At the start, he thought the journey would be short and the rewards immense. Guiding the lion is the fox. The fox is clever, strategic, and always promising a bigger kill just ahead. Probably a consultant.
Gotcha.
But as time went by and the path stretched longer and longer and longer still, the promise of RCS withered, and the lion became tired. Enter the bear. The bear is solid, experienced, ready to steady and guide the journey. In our conversation this morning, Sinch is the bear.
Oh.
And we have
Okay.
not Lodema, but the company. So we have Lodema Steinbach, who's the Vice President of Messaging Strategy and Carrier Partnerships, to walk us through the real-world global perspective on the RCS, how it's operating, how it compares to WhatsApp, and the path ahead for both channels. Lo,
Thank you. Thank you for that. Oh, boy. Can I start with a dad joke while mom joke for me? Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Aren't ya?
Aren't you who?
Aren't you glad we finally have RCS? So these slides, actually my co-founder, Robert Gerstmann, went over a couple months ago at a global scale, and I thought it would be really interesting to talk about it here for this audience. Some of you might have already seen some of this content, but I found it very interesting. We're at a journey right now between messaging, obviously, where today we have the carrier-grade SMS, MMS, we have RCS, we have WhatsApp, and we have Apple Business Chat dominating here for the most part. When I say dominating, use it loosely for some of those here. Now what's happening is we're seeing now RCS is the carrier-grade standard, and we have SMS, MMS, Apple Business Chat, now that Apple has adopted RCS, coming into that fold. So then we have RCS, and then we have WhatsApp. So these slides are going to take you through that journey, so bear with me as I get here, as I'm taking you through this story and fumbling through my notes here on the screen. But I'm super excited to talk about this. Over here, because I can't see it here, we have 175,000 customers globally. We operate in 60 countries. We do about 800 billion impressions globally a year. That's across all of our products, not just messaging. And I need to preface this presentation, a lot of what I'm going to talk about today is not just US focused, it's at a global level. Some of it's US focused, but for the most part, it's at a global level. What we're going to talk about in the enterprise communications universe is we've got marketing use cases, utility use cases, authentication use cases, and customer care use cases. So I'm going to walk through each one of these at a little bit more of a fine-tooth detail as we're walking through this journey to a duopoly. So as we talked about marketing campaigns, and apologies if some of this is an eye chart for some of you, as we're walking through marketing campaigns, utility campaigns, authentication, and customer care, you can see that of the marketing campaigns, it's about $24 billion, 72% of the messaging is through SMS. Of the utility campaigns, 91% is SMS. Of the authentication campaigns, 93% approximately SMS. Now what's interesting, I found, is that this 33% over here for the customer care actually represents email, which I thought was interesting. And I think we're going to see a change as the adoption of as people expect more of a conversational communication over their messaging client. So, factors to determine communication channels with each use case. So, given that use case, as a sender, who are you? where in the world is your customer? And finally, what are the demographics of your customer? And let's talk about each one of these a bit. So who are you? Traditional. Are you a traditional sender or are you a modern sender? Meaning, okay, so are you a traditional sender where you're a bit more rigid, you are a highly regulated company, maybe you're a larger enterprise, you're a little bit slower to adopt new technology. You can't adopt new technology because you're a larger sender. Or are you a little bit more modern where you can be nimble, you can test out new technologies, RCS, for example. You can do A/B testing a little bit more. You can kind of drive that new trajectory. So who are you, meaning a business? Who are you as a business? Next is, where in the world is your customer? So let's talk about the US right here. So what this is telling me is about 29% of people use WhatsApp. And then you're on 42% Android. And then this one is, I lost that slide. 58% is iOS. So basically, as we think about RCS, 58% is Apple. Yeah, did I say that? So as we think about it, 42 and 58% Android and Apple. Go forward, that's going to be the next RCS audience, whereas 29% is WhatsApp. I'd really like to understand in this room, if you can show your hand, who has WhatsApp on their phone? Okay, so we're all messaging nerds here. Most of us are. Can you keep your hand up, please? Okay, so way more penetration, I would expect that. How many people use it on a weekly basis? All right, so I would say that's how many use it on a daily basis? Okay, so this is right. I would say about 30% of users, and we just proved that in this room, and I assume most of us probably live in the US. So that tells us as these results, this might be very, very accurate here. That was a really interesting exercise for all of us to see that. Let's see here. Okay, now that we know where in the world are you, who are you? Who are you talking to? So, well, that looks interesting. Okay.
I think I can read it off.
Okay. So, yeah. So this is this is actually, I believe it's 26 to 35, and that's WhatsApp users. These are WhatsApp users. That's the primary usage. And we're specifically, in this slide, we're specifically talking about the US market. As we look over at the US cultural group, you can see Hispanic Americans are primarily using WhatsApp. And this is something I'll move on the slide. This is, and apologies for the eye chart again, it's, I know it's, so this is what we're seeing basically in the US market is those Hispanic communities really adopting RCS, and I get a nice chuckle out of you. Now, once we know who am I as a sender, where in the world my customers are at, and who is that customer in that part of the world, it's all about delighting your customer at the right time, knowing the right channel, and knowing their demographics to make sure that you're targeted on that specific customer so you get the most adoption and communication with that customer. Back yet? No, not yet. So what this is saying is AI-powered chatbot is going to help grow that conversation at scale so I can learn that customer faster, so that customer is more comfortable with me. Then I can create more personalization to that customer to help keep that conversation going. And these types of use cases, conversational types of use cases, can be started from anything that you receive from the brand. It's about knowing who your customer is and what channel that they're most comfortable with. So, next slide. So it goes back to what I was just talking about, is we're seeing a rise of conversational messaging across multiple use cases that enables that customer care interaction. As we're seeing, there's a shift in user authentication over all of these channels. What this here, right down here says, if you can't read it, is authentication makes up 35% of the SMS market today. Marketing and utility is 26. Sorry, marketing is 26, utility is 39, 39% of the SMS market today. So what we're seeing here is, thank you, Mobile Squared. You're in here somewhere. Who's not here today? Oh, okay. What we're seeing, what Mobile Squared is reporting, is in the future, you can see that RCS is taking off, WhatsApp is taking off, SMS is tapering off. But this will actually I think this will be interesting to see, because that says, if you can't read it back there, it says 2033. So we go from 2024 to 2033. And we think this is going to be more triggered with conversations and more interactions with the customer, better, higher quality interactions with the customer. So this slide is really interesting, because what it is, and then we had a lot of debate internally to Sinch, and I'm assuming there may be a lot of good debate here also about what we're going to see here. And that is, let's pit RCS up against WhatsApp. First, what's the current user base? Well, we're looking at 2.5 billion with WhatsApp, globally, this is globally, and we're looking at 1.5 billion with RCS. So right now, we believe WhatsApp is winning with the user base. Next is potential user base excluding Apple for RCS. So if you take Apple out of the picture, we're saying RCS is 2.6 billion, WhatsApp is 2.5 billion. All right, it's making its way up there. Then the next is potential user base including Apple for RCS. Clearly RCS is going to win in this space. Next is cost efficiency for enterprise. I think it's yet to be told. I think as the adoption is still growing, we're not quite sure what that's going to look like yet. Perceived privacy and trust. This had a lot of debate internally with Sinch. I personally believe RCS is the new carrier service. People trust, especially in the US, they trust the carrier service. It's in their tray when they get their phone. It's going to be trusted. I don't have to download an extra app. People in the US, I believe, I think RCS will always have that carrier grade leg up with WhatsApp, and I think that's good. I personally think that's going to be for years. I would love anyone to debate about this after this session. Next, ease of use for enterprise. We're still figuring this out, especially in the US market. I know it's going to evolve. I know this is going to, it's going to get easy in the future on both fronts. A long-term user experience for the customer, right in the middle, I would say. If you know either one of them, you're used to that experience. I personally think, WhatsApp can be it's a different experience when you use that versus RCS. And then we have channel branding. Again, I think that's right in the middle. And finally, agility. I think WhatsApp is going to win every time with agility, because it's just one app. It's one company, Meta, developing it. They're going to easily be able to change with the market options, whereas you have RCS, the different deployments with different carriers globally. It's going to be a little bit more tough. But again, RCS may win on the perceived trust here. So what does that lead into? I'll let someone else take a picture of. Okay. That leads into the battle of the business models. Doom, doom, doom. I'm not going to read everything on here. What this says is one-way outbound, basic and single, conversational. Over marketing, back to those 4 pillars, marketing, utility, authentication, customer care. So we did a lot of analysis here on what this means. And basically, what we found is if the use case is a customer care or marketing utility conversations from click to WhatsApp, then WhatsApp is free, and thus it's, at this point, generally speaking, it's more cost effective. If the use case is business-initiated conversational marketing or conversational utility, at this point, generally speaking, I'm talking on a global, not US-based, RCS is more cost effective, generally speaking. So this is what we found after a lot of tons and tons of analysis over the 2 different models, thus battle of the business model. I have a feeling this is going to continue to evolve, though. This is, the patent office is not closed on this business model. I think it's going to continue to change over time. And let's see, I need to talk about RCS for Sinch. So these are our brands that we have using RCS today. Discovery, Nespresso uses RCS for discovery. Print Temps uses it for promotions. Easy Park uses it for alerts. And then Picard uses it for retention and loyalty. The next slide is, hopefully, we can get the Picard to talk to us a bit.
For the RCS messaging, we had the click-through rate was 3 times higher than the rich SMS. And also, the client engagement was 42% higher than the rich SMS. despite a smaller target population. So very amazing results.
We generate 10% more redirections with the RCS than the rich SMS conversational.
Yeah.
So sorry, I don't have my notes. 42% higher engagement rate and 3 times the click-through rate in RCS, which is going to, all of those use cases we talked about are going to be impacted by that. Let's wrap. So we know that digital customer engagement, increasingly important in the communications mix. Omnichannel, leveraging multiple types of messaging, voice, emails is a must for enterprises. Enterprises need to know what that customer, how they want to communicate with that customer, at what time, what the demographic is, where in the world are you. AI solutions are going to help scale these conversations. It's going to help scale engagement as long as it's good AI and it actually works. And then finally, RCS and WhatsApp stands to build a duopoly. Thank you. I'm going to sit over here. I'm going to sit right here? Okay.
So the bear has spoken.
Oh, okay.
And we've obviously moved beyond the fable to reality and execution relative to RCS. You mentioned the agility factor for WhatsApp as a competitive advantage, if you will. I'm wondering if there's anything that we can steal from WhatsApp and apply it to RCS, especially applicable to the North American market, in terms of how they operate, or as I say, steal a factor away from them.
Oh, this is a different question than you sent me. All right.
Wait a minute.
I can't read. I don't have my glasses on. Okay. Oh, you modified one. Listen, we learned a lot in WhatsApp, and I applied it to RCS. Right? We've learned Sinch. We've learned conversations through WhatsApp and what's going to work for RCS. In some markets, RCS, where we see strength with WhatsApp, we also see strength with RCS, such as Brazil. We see that India. We see that. Kind of going back to my slides, it's about knowing your customer, where they live, and what channel they want to communicate with. So we learned a lot about that with RCS. With WhatsApp, that we absolutely have been applying to RCS.
Okay. And you have a large portfolio of enterprises in your operations for Sinch. And I'm wondering, have you started conversations with them as to whether they are leaning more towards WhatsApp or more leaning towards RCS, and how you can integrate that, again, within a global context, but not necessarily a North American context, or vice versa?
Well, that's a lot. Okay. I will say that we do have large enterprises that use RCS today and that use WhatsApp today in both markets, and side by side. And again, it's about knowing what your customer is, what channel they want to use and when they want to use it. Now, as we grow into RCS in the U.S., I've talked to a lot of enterprises that they don't have RCS on their roadmap yet. And I know most of us in here work with enterprises. And if enterprise doesn't have it on the roadmap this year, guess what? It ain't happening this year. So we're seeing a lot of that. And I will also, are you going to ask me about smaller senders as well? Not?
If you'd like me to.
Okay. CPaaS providers like Sinch. Listen, we grow at scale through our resellers and through our partners. We do have large enterprise customers. Enterprise customers have to work with larger businesses. But I mean, I personally believe we're going to grow at scale with our long tail and our reseller customers.
Okay. Well, since you combined the two questions, I'll throw it out to the audience to see if there are any questions from them.
Okay.
You good with that?
I'm fine.
It's on the script.
Okay. I can't see it on my glasses.
It's not on the script.
Okay.
Am I on? Hi, Lodema. Thank you for that comparison slide. Love that comparison slide of the pros and cons.
Are you going to debate me?
What's that?
Are you going to debate me?
How important do you think the ubiquity of RCS is compared to WhatsApp? Right. Every phone, over time, will be RCS capable. WhatsApp requires someone to install an app. My mom doesn't know how to install an app.
Yep.
So how important of a factor is the ubiquity of RCS versus WhatsApp?
That's what we need to grow at scale. Is we need more coverage, basically, and ubiquity. And it's going to happen. I think it's just a matter of, we see it as countries adopt, as Apple adopts RCS in that country, we see the adoption increase significantly. Even because we manage P2P networks as well, right? So we even see that in the P2P space. So I think it's 100%. It's the default new carrier grade messaging.
Yeah.
So you need that ubiquity and you need that growth to grow at scale.
And Nick Lane has done a presentation in the past that's publicly available where he starts to analyze the adoption rate and the transition rate in terms of iOS and how fast that's going to flow through the marketplace. Like, in the old days of voice when we used to look at churn in terms of handsets, that is a factor in terms of how fast RCS will be adopted globally, regionally, and in North America and the US, obviously.
And it's not just the RCS standard for P2P, it's RCS for business. And I think a lot of it, we just need to educate senders. We need to show them things like this more and reiterate it over and over again, because it's not easy for senders to adopt new technologies in some cases. So it's for us, the people in this room, to really, and maybe MEF can help, get the word out to educate our customers so they adopt this faster.
Yeah, I have a question. I think in some countries, like maybe Spain or France, I heard that the operators, when they launch, like all the operators in the country launch RCS, actually they move all the SMS traffic to RCS as a strategy. And correct me if I'm wrong, but and I wonder, for North America, do you think that it is as a strategy for the operators to get RCS adoption is to kind of move the SMS, even if it's a basic SMS, to RCS?
So I'm not a carrier. I don't necessarily want to speak for them. I will say in the US market, it's just naturally happening in some cases. Once, I don't know, I have an iPhone and I'm on Verizon, and for me, as soon as RCS was turned on, it was very seamless for me. It was just started working. So I assume that's the model that's going to go forward, but it works for me on my iPhone, and it works beautifully. It works great. So thank you, Verizon. I think Setu, you're in here. I'm not sure who else is for Verizon to make that happen, but it works great. So I assume that's going to be what it's going to look like on the rest of the carriers, but we'll see. I mean, they want it to work. They're working hard at making it work at Mass too.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm curious, you mentioned in the context of the duopoly, we've got RCS and we've got WhatsApp. Could you talk a little bit about consent in a duopoly? Is there a unique consent perspective that you're seeing enterprises sort of come in with, so that they're sort of carving their audiences by each channel, or are they looking for more of a unified experience?
I would say that senders want a unified experience, period. I don't necessarily know if it's going to work globally. And I do see that Meta, WhatsApp is making strides on very much answering the call of RCS. So it will be interesting, to your point, to see if Meta says, hey, if you have opt-in on RCS, don't worry about it. You can come over here and we'll accept your opt-in. Vice versa, I don't necessarily know if that's going to happen. It's all a debate at this point, right? Or do you agree? Okay.
You mentioned a very interesting pricing comparison between the two channels. And I think lately, as WhatsApp has been responding to RCS, they've been going into more and more markets and changing their pricing, so it takes away the RCS advantage on pricing. How do you see that playing in more and more countries? And today, only marketing is left from what you just mentioned. Is that where RCS is going to land up?
If you're asking me if we see, if I understand correctly, you're asking me if you see Meta doing this in other countries. Yeah, more and more. Yes, they have to. They have to. If they don't, RCS is going to win, because by country, depending on how the carriers implement it in that country. For example, if it's in my messaging tray, like it is here, then RCS, in my mind, is always going to win, except for the 30% except for the 30% of people that kept their hand raised.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.